in the
Mama
coming
and
search.
Dada.
There was a whole lot of debris which was released, and it would not surprise me if more
Mama
debris
and
will
Dada.
be washing up in that part of the region in the coming weeks.
In fact, a year ago, maps of the ocean currents actually predicted something like this happening. Chief Meteorologist Rick Reichman is live. All right, so let's start with that map of the region that somebody predicted a year ago.
Yeah, it's very fascinating. The hardest part, I think, of all of this was they didn't know exactly where it went down to trace where it would end up. And there's so many different ocean currents going on here that could pull it in different directions. And that's why you have this map. Some of these you see going to the south of Australia and going out here in towards the Pacific Ocean. But the predominant area here is caught somewhere in the Indian Ocean. We'll show you one of the maps here that gives you an idea of those currents. And it just gives you an idea of how they can give a general idea, potentially, of where this goes.
Okay, so this is the drift of those currents, right?
Yes.
Baby
Yeah, this is.
dolly.
And we have some
Baby
Facebook questions
doll.
Yep, we do.
that people have sent in earlier.
Yep, so I'm gonna get to those too. Okay, Ivan asked this on Facebook. What are the oceanic surface? We just switched to Donald. So good thing I have Ivan here. What are the oceanic surface currents that are influential in bringing this piece of an airplane to Reunion
You have to
Island?
hold
What
on
would
to
that
her,
tell
boy.
us about where
She'll
the plane
jump
might
out of
have
your
crashed
skin.
into the ocean?
Yeah, and so it's an interesting thing. The general current is there's an Indian
Oh.
Ocean gyre right here. That's the current.
That's your
As
sister?
we have on the eastern seaboard,
that your
we have
sister, Lacey?
our current, the Gulf Stream, that so rapidly pushes all of that
Lacey,
water up there.
Grandpa?
These are very strong predominant currents. Within that, you get little eddies as well that some pieces can get stuck into. An eddy is a smaller little current here, but the
Footsies.
predominant current here, you see if it
Ooh,
lands somewhere here,
footsies.
just to the west of
We can't
Australia,
play-
the current
can't
here
play footsies.
potentially brings it over towards Madagascar
Too close
or
together.
the Reunion Islands, which are
That's
just right
fascinating because we're talking about more than 3,000 miles.
Jenny.
very, very long distance, but it's been about
Footsies,
500
footies,
days. So
footsies,
you have a very long
footsies,
time of a
footsies,
consistent
footsies.
current pushing this debris around.
Okay, let's get another question in from a viewer. This one is from Donald. How do you backtrack the ocean currents in order to get some remote idea of where that aircraft actually went in?
Good boy.
Yeah, and now this I think is a much
Is
more
this
complicated thing. And what we
Lacey's?
were just showing you
Is
there
this
was the
Lacey's?
general pattern
Oh,
that you
there
see
it
in
is.
ocean currents, but there's a lot
There
more
it
going
is,
on that makes it
Grandpa.
much more difficult. This right here is the general
Somebody
idea
wants
of
to
where they
sit
thought
up.
a crash site might be, and I've overlaid on this the
There,
current
watch her.
weather. And these are just where we have storms
She's
going
gonna
on.
roll
But
right
this
out
right
from the
here
couch
is how
thing.
this translates into wind. And surface winds are generally what is going to be making
Right
this
off the couch.
move all in
What you
all
doing?
different directions.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Right here.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
And that's going to be pulling some of the debris potentially in one direction, other debris into other directions, some that gets
Whoa.
in some parts of the ocean. So to answer your question,
Some little girl went down.
to go back, you have 500 days of storms.
Somebody little
that
girls
pushing
want
debris
play.
around here. It is going to be very difficult to backtrack to this. To me, what you get from this piece of
No,
debris
not
being
that.
found is that we know
Yeah,
that the
Lacey's.
plane,
This
if
is
this
yours.
is in fact from
This
that
is
plane,
yours.
they can identify it. You know the plane
This is
crashed,
yours.
and you know that it
That's
happened.
Lacey's.
Does it get
Boy,
us
you're a
closer
jumping jack.
to something maybe 3,000
You're a
miles
jumping
away to
jack.
exactly where it crashed? I don't
You're a
think
jumper.
so.
See, that's fascinating because some of these other experts are saying, well, now we're going to see a bunch of other debris coming
This
up
is
in the same area.
Lacey's.
But you're saying maybe.
Oh, no,
maybe
no, I think there's a very
Lacey's.
good chance that you will see more debris coming in that area, but that doesn't mean you also might not see debris coming up 1,000 miles away in another direction. And to be able to backtrack that to a precise location of where that plane is, I think is going to be very, very difficult. It certainly is going to help in possibly any of the debris or those barnacles and shells on it. Maybe you get an idea of what part of an ocean those things came from. The ocean at different temperatures, different things live and grow in different parts of the ocean. That might be an indicator, but it's going to be very difficult for current-wise to backtrack it to a precise location.
I think it's fascinating how much weather, plays into this entire search. They've already spent $66 million trying to find this plane. I mean, obviously, it's going to take meteorologists, it's going to take oceanographers, it's going to take a whole mass of people now to come back together, if in fact this is the plane.
Certainly, and you also have some parts of a plane that are buoyant that might be on the surface and other parts of the plane that aren't buoyant that might go down to the bottom. You're absolutely right. It's weather, it's people who understand the bottom of the oceans and the depths, and you end up finding it just somebody out on a beach cleaning up. Not costing anything, it really is.
She seems like she's still tired.
Are you
Now,
still
the huge story
sleeping?
today, American dentist in hiding after killing Zimbabwe's most famous lion. U.S. Fish and Wildlife now investigating the death of Cecil the
What are
lion.
you doing? You're
But so
a
far, no
jumper.
one has been able to reach Dr. Walter James Palmer. The dentist closed up shop after protesters turned up at his office. Well, Dr. Palmer says he believed that the hunt was legal and only found out it was the famous cat after the cat was already dead. Julie Banderas has the very latest for us today. So, Julie, more drama surrounding this guy's hunting trip. What have you found out?
That's right, Gretchen. In fact, we just got this from the White House. The White House is actually weighing in on this, saying that there is a widely circulated petition out there,
The
a
White
public
House.
petition, demanding that the doctor be extradited to Zimbabwe to face charges. Well, it has gotten its required 100,000 plus signatures. So the White House now saying that it is up to the Justice Department to decide on any extradition order. Meantime, the incident is being investigated by some Zimbabwean authorities and also by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services. But right now, the shooter, the doctor, remains MIA. Though 2 Zimbabweans, in fact, have been arrested in connection with the killing. A guide and a farm owner, both accused of poaching, and